Good morning. Welcome into your Thursday edition of Hoops Talk with Dave. I'm your host, Dave Smith, here on day one of the NCAA Tournament. Today is the day where your brackets will lock. They'll lock at 12:15 p.m. Eastern, which is the tip-off of the first game today of the round of 64. Make sure you get those brackets in this morning before that deadline hits you, because once the games start, there is no filling out any type of bracket for you or joining in any type of bracket group. So make sure you get those in before the first game tips off at 12:15 p.m. Eastern on CBS, which is where we will begin today. Creighton, Louisville, the 9 and 8 seed in the South region. The Cardinals, a 2.5-point favorite. Tip-off for this one, once again, is 12:15 p.m. Eastern on CBS. A really fun matchup to start us off here. I like Louisville in this matchup, but it'll be very close regardless. Vegas, of course, has that spread at 2.5 points. And just so you know, today we'll be hitting these games in chronological order. So they'll be going based on start time, not based on seeding or region or anything like that. It will go based on start time. At 12:40 p.m. Eastern, a fun 13-4 matchup with a very high-octane electric offense that High Point brings into the tournament. They take on the number 4 seed Boilermakers, a 4 versus 13 matchup. Tip-off for that one at 12:40 p.m. Eastern on True TV. Purdue sits only a 7.5-point favorite over a 13 seed. Should be a really, really fun game to watch. Up next on our slate of games, game number 3 of 16. That's right, 16 games today. This one tips off 1:30 p.m. Eastern on TNT. The Badgers taking on the Montana Grizzlies. The Badgers sit as a 16.5-point favorite, coming off that Big Ten championship defeat, looking to bounce right back. I like them to do so. Tip-off, once again, 1:30 p.m. Eastern over on TNT. And the final game of our first window, beginning at 2 p.m. Eastern on TBS, a 16 versus a 1 matchup. SIU Edwardsville taking on the Houston Cougars, the first 1 seed we'll see in action today. The Cougars sit as 29-point favorites. That number has gotten into the 30s some, but now it's back down to 29. SIU Edwardsville, the faithful, I've seen them on Twitter talking out there about how excited they are for the opportunity to be here and to take on Houston. Unfortunately for them, it will probably be very short-lived, as I expect Houston to take care of business. Once again, the tip-off for that one, 2 p.m. Eastern on TBS. On to our second window of games today, this afternoon, 2:50 p.m. Eastern estimated tip. And just so you know, when I say estimated tip, that's because there's a game being played on the court prior, of course. Creighton versus Louisville will take place, and then Alabama State will take on Auburn on the same court. So in the second window and the fourth window, these tip times are estimated tip times. A great rule of thumb, just to know, is 30 minutes after the first game finishes will be when the second game on that court begins. So back in the South region, number 1 seed Auburn, overall number 1 seed Auburn, I should say, taking on number 16 seed Alabama State. The Tigers, 32-point favorites over Alabama State. Tip-off for that one, once again, estimated for 2:50 p.m. Eastern on CBS. Our fifth game on the day, a 12-5 matchup, and this one's going to be a lot of fun. Number 12 seed McNeese State taking on number 5, the Clemson Tigers. Some interesting news from yesterday that came out yesterday afternoon. The head coach of McNeese State, who's a former head coach at LSU and elsewhere, has accepted the head coaching job at North Carolina State. And so you have to wonder, if you're picking the 12-5 upset there, like I am, will his players listen to him, knowing that he's already out the door? He's already accepted a job at North Carolina State. So definitely one to watch there as number 12 seed McNeese takes on number 5 seed Clemson at 3:15 p.m. Eastern on True TV. The Clemson Tigers sit as a 7.5-point favorite. On to our seventh game. These two games coming up right here are really, really fun. VCU versus BYU, 4:05 p.m. estimated tip on TNT. The Cougars closed the season red hot, but so did VCU. This is going to be a really fun up and down matchup. VCU likes to try to control the pace and slow it down. I don't think they're going to be able to slow down this BYU offense. I like BYU here. Vegas does as well, having them as a 2-point favorite. Once again, 4:05 p.m. Eastern on TNT. And over on TBS, 30 minutes after that one, 4:35 p.m. Eastern tip, an 8-9 matchup. And I think a really, really, really fun 8-9 matchup between two sets of Bulldogs. The 9-seed Georgia Bulldogs taking on the 8-seed Gonzaga Bulldogs. The Zags sit as 6.5-point favorites. The West Coast Conference champions. They've closed the season great. All the metrics have loved them all year long. I like Georgia to pull off the upset here. I think nobody's talking about Georgia. Everyone's writing Gonzaga into the Final Four, into the Sweet 16. They're just moving them past not only Georgia, but Houston as well. And I don't understand that personally. I don't think this Gonzaga team is as good people are making them out to be. And so I like Georgia in this one. Once again, 4:35 Eastern tip on TBS. Now, as we get into the second half of games, starting at 6:50 p.m. Eastern, a 15 versus 2 matchup, one that you can expect to be a very low-scoring affair between number 15 seed Wofford and number 2 seed Tennessee. Tennessee, a lot of people have them pegged to go very, very far this year. I don't disagree with them. This Tennessee team is really, really good. They check all the boxes for a national champion as well. I like them to move past this first round. They're 18.5-point favorites. Once again, tip-off 6:50 p.m. Eastern on TNT. Next, in the West region, a 7-10 matchup at 7:10 p.m. Eastern on CBS. Arkansas, Kansas, John Calipari versus Bill Self. This one on CBS. The Jayhawks are 5-point favorites over the Razorbacks. You don't want to miss that one. Primetime action on CBS between two of the best coaches to ever coach a basketball team. Once again, Arkansas, Kansas, 7:10 p.m. Eastern on CBS. Up next, back over into the South region, number 13 seed Yale taking on number 4 seed Texas A&M. If you remember correctly, that is right. Last year, Yale knocked off Auburn, and Auburn brought back everybody now. Now they're the number 1 overall seed, but Yale has proven they can win in the tournament. Yale brought just about everybody back as well. I still like Texas A&M here. They're 7-point favorites over the Yale Bulldogs. Tip-off for that one, 7:25 p.m. Eastern on TBS. And a really fun 6 versus 11 matchup. I personally wish they would have seeded the 11 seed higher, and that is the Drake Bulldogs. I think they were deserving of a 10 seed, maybe even a potential 9 seed. And that brings us this 6 versus 11 matchup between the number 6 seed Missouri Tigers taking on the Drake Bulldogs. Mizzou favored by 6 points over the Drake Bulldogs. Drake, they're 30-3 on the season. They have not lost very many games at all, and the games they've lost have been very tough battles. So Drake's going to keep this one close. I like Missouri to advance. Tip-off for this one, 7:35 p.m. Eastern on True TV. So that's right. Those are 4 games starting within 45 minutes of each other, and the last window of games is just the same way. You need 4 TVs today and tomorrow to make sure you catch all the action. Starting at 9:25 p.m. Eastern, a 7-10 matchup that I think is really a coin flip as far as things go. The Bruins of UCLA, the 7th seed, taking on the Utah State Aggies. Utah State one's a great zone. I think UCLA's talent is too much for them. The Bruins favored by 5 points in this one. Tip-off, once again, 9:25 p.m. Eastern on TNT. And at 9:45 p.m. Eastern, a 15-2 matchup between Omaha and St. John's. Rick Pitino has his squad playing great basketball. You can expect them to keep that going tonight. 9:45 p.m. Eastern on CBS. The Red Storm, an 18-point favorite. As we now move into the last 2 games of our Thursday session. I know it goes by so quick. It feels like I've been talking really fast, trying to get through everything to make sure you have all the information you need for the first day of March Madness here for you. These 2 games are one you're going to want to stay up for. If you like to go to bed early, not during March. Number 12 seed UC San Diego taking on Big Ten champion, number 5 seed Michigan. The Wolverines only 2-point favorites in this South Region clash. 10 p.m. Eastern tip on TBS. And the final game of the night taking place between UNC Wilmington and Texas Tech. The number 3 seeded Red Raiders holding a 14.5-point spread over the UNC Wilmington Seahawks. Tip-off for that one at 10:10 p.m. Eastern on True TV. And so as you listen to all of this, if you're headed to work right now, you may want to consider taking the half day today, maybe a half day today and a half day tomorrow, maybe just a full day tomorrow, because you don't want to miss all the action that March Madness brings us. It is truly the greatest event in all of sports. Once again, make sure your brackets are in as they lock at 12:15 p.m. Eastern today. So right afternoon today, make sure you have your bracket in, locked in, all your work pools, office pools, everything is ready to rock and roll because the madness officially begins today. It's going to be a great ride, everybody. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning for a brief recap and a preview of everything coming for you on Friday. I'm your host, Dave Smith. Thanks for tuning in to Hoops Talk with Dave.